Sometimes loneliness isn't loud. Sometimes it's simply being the only one standing solo in a moment that others are sharing together. Hi, my friend, and welcome to the Bounce Back Black Woman podcast. I'm Dell, and with God's help, I've overcome some of the toughest trials in life that I could ever have imagined. Do you find yourself struggling to move beyond a heartbreak or a hardship, asking God, why me? Well, I'm here to help women just like you heal and build the resilience to overcome life's greatest trials. If you long for joy and confidence again, this podcast is for you. So grab your headphones and those hardships. Let's talk. Hey there, my friend, and welcome back to Bounce Back Black Woman. Today's episode, as does most of my episodes, actually comes from my real life, the learnings and the realizations that I gather every day and share with you. It is not a metaphor, and it's not a lesson that I simply pulled together and decided to teach. So many of you know that I live in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, affectionately known as the DMV, and not where you get your license. But in our area, we were told days ago that we had a major winter storm headed our way, and that there might be loss of power, and all kinds of offshoots from that storm. And with the announcement of that storm, for me came the realization that I was about to be stranded alone for several days. And that moment, the preparation, the realization, stirred up far more than I expected that it would. So if you're walking through the end of a relationship, or if you're grieving a loss, or if you live alone when you haven't always lived alone, or if you're facing a quieter season than you had planned, I want you to know that this episode is for you. What struck me the most wasn't the storm coming itself, because it's winter and that's what happens. It was the planning that needed to go into preparing for this storm. The mindset shift that happens when you realize, once I go home, that's it. There's not going to be any popping out later, running to the store, no casual visits or drop-ins, no last-minute changes. Just you and time. And there was a very real possibility of us losing power in the midst of that storm, which added a whole nother dimension to the anxiety of what was to come. No TV, no internet, no heat, no scrolling online to soften the edges of aloneness. And I remember thinking, this isn't just about being snowed in. This is actually about being alone with myself without distraction. And then there was the necessary trip to the grocery store and the pet store. And in both, I saw couples and families planning together, coordinating meals, kids bundled up and restless. And there I was, alone, moving through the aisles, gathering the things that I needed. Not bitter, not resentful, just aware. Aware of the contrast, aware of the internal quiet, aware of the absence of anyone else planning with me. Sometimes loneliness isn't loud. Sometimes it's simply being the only one standing solo in a moment that others are sharing together. And in that awareness, something else surfaced for me. I remembered why I got my pups in the first place. After my husband died in 2014, when the house felt too quiet and too lonely, and that loneliness pressed harder than I could name, I got my two dogs. And they were not just pets. They were my rescue. They were my companionship, my routine, and my presence. And they were a reminder that I wasn't truly alone, even when life had stripped away so much. And here I was again, all these years later, preparing again for solitude, but no longer unfamiliar with what it brings. And here's the distinction that I want to offer you today. Loneliness is the ache of missing connection. Solitude is learning how to remain connected even when you're alone. Solitude isn't about isolation. It's about reclaiming your inner relationship with yourself and your creator and your surroundings. And this is where we learn things like how to be our own best friend, how to sit with ourselves without judgment, how to dream, how to hear what life has been trying to say beneath the noise. And we learn that we may have been neglecting the practices and the pastimes that often get overlooked with our busyness. Reading and rereading our favorite books that sit on the shelf. Meditation, self-reflection, sitting still and simply gazing out of the window, or taking long, soothing bubble baths. My friends, Scripture reminds us that even Jesus withdrew, intentionally. He often withdrew to lonely places and prayed, is what we see in Luke 5:16. Solitude wasn't abandonment or running away or escapism. It was alignment. God doesn't meet us in isolation to leave us there. God meets us in our isolation in order to restore us. So why does solitude hurt at times? Well, solitude can hurt because it removes our escape routines, our escape routes. No distractions, no quick validation, no outside noise to cover the questions that we've been avoiding. And that can feel unsettling. But it's also where clarity lives, because in solitude, you begin to rediscover your strengths, your habits, your resilience, your needs, and your truth. You don't lose yourself in solitude, my friend. You reintroduce yourself. Solitude doesn't mean cutting people off. It means being intentional. Stay connected through phone or video. Let people know that you're quiet, not gone. Create routines that anchor you and soothe you. Be gentle with yourself and speak kindly to your own heart. And when the quiet comes, don't rush to fill it. Let it teach you. Let it move through you. So here's the truth that I want to leave you with. Being alone doesn't mean that you're being punished. Sometimes it means that you're being prepared. And here's your journal prompt. What is this season of solitude inviting me to see about myself? And friend, if this episode resonated with you, I want you to know this. You are not alone, even in your solitude. You can reflect with your favorite journal. If you need one, I've got you. Check the show notes for the Bounce Back Podcast Companion Journal. Stay connected by joining my mailing list for weekly encouragement and just some together time. And you can do that at Bounce Back Black Woman or in the show notes. And for the beginning of this year, when you join, you'll also get a free copy of my Bounce Back 2026 guide. So if today finds you in a quiet place, I want you to know that I see you, my friend. I hear you, and I am you. So until next time, I want you to keep bouncing back. Well, that's it for today, my friend. I really hope this episode inspired, encouraged, or just plain comforted you. If so, please share it with a friend who might be struggling in her own healing journey. And if you take a moment to leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts, you'll help other women find encouragement through their heartbreak. Remember that God is holding your hand along this journey. And guess what? I'm holding the other. Life is short, so bounce back, Black woman.